Hi there, I'm Dana Peters-Colley. It's January 2nd, 2023. Hope your holiday was good. Mine was eventful and a lot of things going on. But we're going to move into and continue into teaching on Kings. Wow, so much to learn. I start to open thinking, wow, I'm going to just, do one small video on something, and then there's so many lessons in here. It's just really worth the time to take it slow and to just, get these pieces of good word that the Lord would give us. So in the last video that I released last week, Reign 5, so now we're on Reign 6. We're continuing with Saul. And when Saul, it's interesting because Saul's life is actually that he goes from being the protagonist, the actual hero in our story, and eventually later you'll see how he becomes the antagonist. So he turns into the villain of the story. And so his life and his choices can truly teach us some good things about being king, and then also some sad and bad things when we don't follow the Lord's ways. And also that there's a price for leadership and rulership. But I'm going to jump into where it's really good. And so maybe you've heard about his demise, but let's look at how God used Saul first. So he was selected by Samuel, the prophet. So God showed Samuel who was going to become king. And then Saul proves himself. And that's what we're going to focus on today is how did Saul prove himself? Well, he didn't do this by himself. And so in 1 Samuel 10, 9 through 13, so if you want to go back and read later, or read along, that would be terrific. But Saul was turned into another man. And so when you're chosen for something as a follower of the Lord, you will develop and have the gift come upon you. It will be easy just to know right what to do. You'll show yourself approved, but you'll develop in that gift. And so in 1 Samuel 11:6, the Spirit of God came on Saul. He knew what to do in a situation that they faced. So there was a grievous situation that all of a sudden hit, and Saul knew what to do to solve it. So that shows his ability to become king. So what he did was he cut up an ox, and that ox was sent to all of Israel and to Judah. So Israel and Judah were divided. And so this was to actually move the tribes into action. And what Saul said to them is that they sent a piece of this ox to them and said, if you don't move, this is what we're going to do to your ox. We're going to destroy your ox. So we think about the fact that ox plowed the fields. They were an expensive thing to have. And so the people could possibly starve if they didn't have their ox. So what happened is that decision on Saul's part to show them to something, to move them forward into responding, caused 300,000 men from Israel to show up and 30,000 from Judah to show up to help a situation. Now let's talk about what that situation was, because it's pretty strange. What happened was that there was a threat from the king of the Ammonites toward the city of Jabesh-Gilead. And the king was going to take out their right eyes. And somehow they got the king to stall. They stalled that king from making that decision, hoping that somebody would save them. And so they had 7 days to see if anybody would show up, to help in this city, Jabesh-Gilead. And so the thing is that the territory was the Benjamite territory, Benjaminite. There, Benjaminite territory. And so in that territory, if you think about it, then Saul is a Benjaminite. So he is from the tribe of Benjamin. So this is his family, his lineage, and their city is being attacked. So then he has the right thing to do to motivate the people into action. Now remember, there's no other kings before them, so this is what Saul, who had been turned into another man under the Spirit of the Lord as a king, knew what to do. So they end up going in and they destroy the Ammonites in battle. And so after this, Saul is not king at this point, but after this, they are going to make Saul king. And after they finish this battle, an interesting thing that connects to the last video happens, which, remember, there were the children of Belial, which they were the ones that mocked Saul. And so people are actually suggesting that they kill anybody that was going to say anything against Saul. But Saul showed mercy and said none of their people would be put to death because the Lord had saved them. So see how he gave God the glory in this situation, and knowing that God, who was the one who had saved him and saved the people. So wisdom in being a king is when you know when it's the time to fight, and also when it's the time to not fight and not engage in battle. Even if people have said things about you, you still don't retaliate in the same spirit that they're coming at you with, but you discern from the Lord those times where you're to battle and where you're not to battle. So that is definitely a key in good rulership and becoming a king and a priest unto God. So after this, they went and Saul was made the king. And I'm just going to make a joke about this. It'll make you blink. Is that all the right eyes were there in Gilgal to see him made king, which of course the right eyes were what they wanted to take out of him. But Gilgal was the first Israelite camp west of the Jordan, east of Jericho. In this place, Samuel was judge. The word Gilgal means a wheel or rolling. Sometimes I've seen also circle. So we'll end with that component of it. You see the success of Saul, and then he's made into the king. But here is an interesting thing that is in Hosea. And so I think it's, Saul can be definitely referred to in it, but also it's for all of the kings of Israel. And it's in Hosea 13, 9 and 10. And it says, O Israel, thou hast destroyed thyself, but in me is thine help. I will be thy king. Where is any other that saved thee in all thy cities? And thy judges, of whom thou saidest, give me a king and princes. I gave thee a king in mine anger, and took him away in my wrath. See how the prophet is receiving how God does this, how God is still the leader, the king, the Lord of lords, and he is the ruler, the great God we have. So many wonderful names for him, and powerful, almighty God. So he was still in control, even if man was given some level of kingship. So that's a key to remember in what kinds of things we rule over. In Matthew 28:18, it says, And Jesus came and spoke to them, saying, All power is given unto me in heaven and in earth. So Jesus has been given all power, and he stands at the right hand of the Father, petitioning in our behalf. But we then, if we see the hierarchy of it, God, Jesus at his right hand, who's been given all power, and then of course us down here as he makes us kings and priests in the earth. So we'll remember the fact that Saul started good, So kings can start out really good, humble, making right decisions, but they can twist, and we'll get to that in the next video. So I hope you have a very blessed day, a blessed week. I'm off to actually go see more family members and a grandchild, get to hold my grandchild, which will be wonderful. She's just really sweet and 2 years old now. So looking forward to that. I hope your new year is completely blessed as we are shifting. I've seen where some other prophets have come through with some of the same revelation that God's been giving me about the 30 to 40-year-olds just coming up into taking their rightful place to bring the Lord into the earth, to bring salvations, to just do what it is that's mighty before us as this pancake flips, as we see our nations swirl, but at the same time, our God is on the throne. He is Lord of Lords and King of Kings, and we can trust him in all the things that he has for us. And remember that he commands us, Jesus commands us to occupy until he comes. And so we are to do that, and to live in the joy of the Lord as our strength, no matter what's swirling around us, no matter what it is that attempts to assail us. I hope you have a very blessed week, and I'll see you next week. God bless you.